Welcome, creative friends. Today I'm going to be making this love seat. Here I just put the foil that I used before for the flooring, and I'm marking how big I want the seat to be. After I cut it out of cardboard, the thin cardboard, I used the lasagna box, and I need the corrugation to be going up from up to down. I'm going to be using that part. And now I'm just going to be rounding it with first my hands, and then I used a big giant brush that I had to round the cardboard. Now I'm just checking to see how much I need to cut and how tall I want it to be. I'm measuring jasmine, and I decided on 3 centimeters, which later on I'm going to be cutting off because it turned out to be just too high. Now I'm just trying to draw the back of the seat. Jasmine just loves to watch me work. Take number 1, trying to glue them together. Of course, it was on the wrong direction, and I had to use my heat gun to unglue it and start all over again. Take number 2, also a mistake. I kept on going at this, I don't know, 3-4 times. Remove it again. Now I decided, okay, let me put some arrows just to show me which way I need to go, because this is getting ridiculous. And I'm trying to figure out, which wasn't that easy. It seemed easy, but it wasn't. And my mistake was that I had the piece of cardboard upside down. So I should have, that's the way it should have been facing. And I always had it on the other way. That's why I was making these boo-boos. But finally, I got it. And that's hubby checking on Jasmine and asking me, why is your mouse naked and doesn't have any clothes on? So I had to show him, yes, she does. She has clothes. She has a dress and she has a hat. And I put slits in the hat so her ears can come out. And I'm just showing him how I dress her up. The back of the dress has a pin. And because she's needle felted, I can just push the pin into her body. No need for any buttons or anything. The dress and hat are made out of felt, and how I didn't sew them together or glue them together. I felted them together with the felting needle. And now she's all dressed. Back to our seat. And I'm putting the hot glue and I'm putting a pen under it just to keep the piece up and sticking, because I do have a little dent there, which I don't know why I made. Now I have a little blob of hot glue on the top, so I'm just melting it a little bit with my heat gun to remove it. And now when I wanted to check it and see where I'm gonna put a hole for her tail, I noticed, oops, that seat is just too tall. So I cut almost like 1 centimeter off. I think it's 1 centimeter, looks like it. I really didn't measure, I just started cutting. Now I used a hole punch to make, first I made one hole and then I started trying it out and I made it bigger because I remembered I got cushions there also. So she's gonna be sitting a little bit higher up. And I just put this piece of foam under her and behind her, just as a makeshift cushion to see if I needed to change the position or make the hole bigger. And then I noticed, okay, it's just too wide. Even if I did put a cushion behind her, the seat was way too wide for her. So I needed to cut that also. I estimated this much, and I started first with the scissors and then couldn't go through the hot glue, so I used my flush cutters and snipped away at it. It wasn't easy. And then I saw I had this part that fit perfectly. So I'm gonna use it as the bottom part of the decoration. Here I'm checking if it's level because when I cut it, I just eyeballed it. And there are little few places that I needed to correct, but not a lot. Perfect. Now I'm gonna be gluing that decoration piece after I cut it out with some hot glue. And I'm going to be putting some masking tape on the seat. I'm going to mask it all over because I don't want any of the moisture to get onto the cardboard. And I'm going to be using the dog poop rolls again. You're going to see me using these a lot. Like, I don't know how many of them are in her house, but they're very useful. Now I'm just cutting it to size. It's hard to cut with scissors. I tried, so I used my miniature table saw. And I'm putting some hot glue all around it. And now I'm going to paper mache the front and the underside of the seat with the coffee filters. I'm not going to be doing the back. And now I'm just measuring with some, I think it's 4 layers of cardstock back cushion. And I'm gonna make one for the bottom cushion also. And I'm just cutting it to size. And I'm bending it or curling it. What is that word? Yeah, I think curling. and some of them got separated because I wasn't using the right kind of glue to secure them together, so I had to glue them again. And now I'm just seeing where I'm going to position it and outline that opening for her tail. All right, perfect. Now I'm going to put some tacky glue or wood glue. I mean, I have both of them there, and you'll see me sometimes dipping my brush into the tacky glue and sometimes into the wood glue. It's all the same. And I'm using the tip of my felt to have a real nice straight edge. I don't have any quilt batting or anything, so I'm using 2 layers of felt. If you notice, the first time I cut it, I'm cutting it with my scissors at a 90-degree angle. The second time I'm going to cut it, my scissors are going to be leaning more inwards to give me a little bevel, you know, like a curve in the felt itself, so it'll be a little bit smaller than the top one. And figuring out what kind of fabric and what color I want. In the end, I decided on the green. Here I'm just making it, I don't even know what that's called, beveling, or I'm just making the hole bigger from the inside, so when I put my fabric in, it'll look nice. Now if you notice, after I start cutting the fabric, I'm not going to be removing my finger from on top of that piece of card. I don't want it to move at all. So by the straight edges, I'm just cutting a few cuts. Where it's curved, I'll be cutting more. And I'm removing the corners. I don't need them. They're just gonna bulk up the fabric and the back of the seat. See, wood glue. I'm just putting a little bit, and I'm starting at the bottom, and then I'm going to go on the opposite side. Not to the sides, on the top, the opposite side. You see, I'm not removing my finger. Always I'm having like, I have a heavy pressure on it. I don't want the fabric or anything to move. And after it's secured, then I can remove my hands. Perfect. And now I can work the rest easily. Now every one of those, it has to be glued separately. So the glue can be on top and on the bottom and just hold it all in place. And the corners, I'm just putting a little bit of glue so it'll help it stay in place and not fray, because there's hardly any fabric there. And I'm removing excess fabric, and I'm gonna do the same to the other side. Now I'm just making sure that it can still curve. And now I'm going to be cutting a plus sign where the hole is. And I'm putting hot glue from the underside, and I'm going to be dipping my finger in some water so the glue doesn't stick to me. if you wet your fingers, you can work with hot glue. I do have it on low. You don't want to be doing this when you have a very strong glue gun. That's just too hot. But for a small gun and on low setting, there's no problem. And now I'm just going to be putting my nozzle inside there to help it all stay in place with the heat. Now I'm not doing anything except just using the heat to perfect the circle. And now I'm using some wood glue all around on the fabric so it won't fray or go anywhere. And now I'm going to be doing the bottom part, the seat, the same way. Now it's time for the cold porcelain. Put some glue on it. Now I'm using the tacky glue, the one on the right. But you might see me dipping it on the left too. Now after it dried, I'm going to be checking to see if it fits. And oh boy, it was too big. I tried putting Jasmine sitting on there. Her head wouldn't even go in. That was a mistake and something that I didn't count for. So, what was the solution? Put it on the side. There's not going to be a couch under there anymore, or a seat or anything. And it was still too high. So after I painted it, I cut it again. But this time I couldn't use my scissors, so I needed to use the table saw. Now, perfect. And I cut a piece of the wall because it looked too crowded and there wasn't enough light coming in. So I decided to change a little bit. Which you can always do because it's your house. You do whatever you want. You see behind her that little bit of light? Well, I had to make a hole back there so I can stick her tail outside the house. If you like this video, like, subscribe, and comment. It helps a lot. Bye.